Welcome back to another episode of Reflect Live, the podcast where stories come to life and hearts are opened. I am your host, Michelle. Here in Reflect Live, we offer a platform for people from all walks of life to share their experiences, their triumphs, and their challenges. It's a space where people thrive and connections are made through the power of storytelling. And today we have something truly special in store for you. So grab your favorite beverage, find a cozy spot, and let's dive into another episode of Reflect Live. Get ready to be inspired, moved, and maybe even crack a smile or two. This is Reflect Live with Michelle.
You know, when I was listening to your testimony, when you were younger, you didn't really have those role models. Is that right?
No, I didn't. My parents was addicted to drugs. My mom was addicted to crack, and my dad was an alcoholic. So, no, I really didn't have and it's crazy because people often ask me, how did I get to where I am today, considering the past that I had? And I'm like, all I can say is God. That's all I can say. I can't say nothing else outside of God. Because if you were to go back to my childhood and some of the experiences that I had within my childhood, there's no way I should be sitting here saying.
Yeah.
It really is.
My listeners that do not know your story, tell us your story.
Okay. So my name is Latria Russ. I was born February 12, 1979. I was born with a rare genetic syndrome called Pfeiffer syndrome, IFR. And it's not, people hear it and they get, oh, no, it's not nothing like that. Is it serious? Yes, it is serious. Could I die from it? Yes, I could. But I don't ever look at it in that light. What Pfeiffer syndrome really is, it's just like, okay, your bones are supposed to fit together a certain way so that you can move and stretch and just move about. So in order for you to move, your bones have to mesh and fit a certain way. That's throughout your whole body, even in your brain. So when I was born, my bones did not connect the way they were supposed to connect when I was born. So what happened was, two things happened. One, my skull was crushing my brain. And two, I didn't have no stem or anything to protect my skull. So the skull was just out there, hanging out. Hey, how you doing? It was there to protect it or anything. So they had to go through a process of operation to build me bones around it to protect it. I had to wear a helmet from the age of three to about, I want to say 11.
Wow.
I want to say 11. I stopped wearing a helmet. It might have been.
Is that because of the drugs, or is that just a genetic thing?
It's just a genetic. A lot of people think that it's the drugs, but no, it's just. And this syndrome also causes blindness and hearing impairment. I have less than 50% of my hearing in my left ear, and 75% of my hearing in my right.
Wow.
Which you would consider legally blind. I'm in the process of losing more sight as I get older. So yeah, that's that. I didn't quite look like everybody else. I got on and teased a lot. That's why empathy is so important to teach children when they're young. Because when I was a kid, it wasn't something that was talked about. Disability on a whole wasn't talked about.
Sure.
So to be able to understand that there are going to be some people that's not going to look like you. There are going to be some people that's not going to talk like you. There are going to be some people that are just not be like you. And that's okay. It doesn't make you better. It doesn't make them better. It's just what it is. So, yeah. So I got picked on a lot. And, I didn't have a lot of friends.
How did you get through the day, being picked on? And that would be difficult.
It was very difficult. It was, it was hard because I didn't have a lot of friends. So I grew inward. So I became very inward. I became very I would go outside for recess. I would go to the library and read books. Just because I knew I wouldn't have anybody to play with. I was just wandering around aimlessly. So I went to the library, I read books. But if I had not done that, I would not have discovered the ability to write.
That's good.
Yeah, because of that. And it's so funny because that just hit me just a minute ago. Because of that is where I discovered my ability to write. And I was writing all the time, but that was just my way of escaping. My way of getting my reality was to write.
Because you said that your parents, were on drugs and alcohol, and so you really couldn't go home to them and talk to them, right?
No, well, there was really nobody there to talk to about that sort of thing, because my mother was not the one that thought that just wasn't her. And my dad tried to be, but it didn't. I mean, it's hard when you're not going through it on an everyday basis. You know what I'm saying? When you've never been taunted and picked on about something that you can't help. So to try to relate to somebody who has when you haven't makes it hard. It makes it difficult. So yeah, so look along, I've had about 35 to 45 operations.
Oh my goodness, wow.
Yes, my first operation I was 2 months old. The last operation I had was 2009. I spent birthdays in the hospital. I've spent Christmases in the hospital. I spent, you name it, I spent that time in the hospital. I can remember being in the hospital for Christmas and having the Santa Claus go around and give the kids toys. And I got my first Cabbage Patch doll. I was 3 years old. Believe it or not, that doll has been with me through everything. I have that doll.
You still have the doll?
I still have her.
That's awesome.
She's a little ratty and
yeah.
I still have her. Let's see. And there were many times during this time of my life where I would often ask God, why? Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to be the one to go this? I don't understand why. I don't get it. And I guess at 5 and 6 years old, you're not gonna get it. But I sure was asking.
Who taught you about God?
That's funny that you asked me that. I don't remember anybody teaching me about God. I remember always just having this close relationship with him. Like I would lay in the grass and talk to him. I would be in the bathtub talking to God. I'd be behind my mama's couch talking to God. And I was always talking to him. And, that's just the kind of relationship we had.
Yeah. Now, I got to ask, why would you be behind the couch?
It was my hiding spot. That's just where I hid.
Is that right?
That's just it was like, how you have like those little spots that are really small. You could just fit your little body into it. That's where I hid, behind the couch. And we had like this big bay window. And the sun would come through the bay window. It's just like a little cozy spot.
Yeah.
So I would go behind them. Me and my dog would go behind the couch.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I remember countless times, being rolled into the operating room like, okay, God, I can't do this no more. Like, my body can't take this anymore. I'm tired. I'm physically tired. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. And there's a verse in the Bible. I don't know what verse it is, but I know it, but I don't know which one it is. It says it's something to the effect of when you're weak, that is when God is strong.
Yeah.
And this is so true. That is so true. Because I can remember him as still as I'm talking to you, as clear as you can hear me, as I can hear you, I can remember him say, hold on, I got you. And that's all I had.
That's good.
All I had. I didn't have anything. So that's what I wrote on. He said to hold on, he got me.
Yeah. What age was this, do you think?
Gosh, about 9 maybe.
About 9. Yeah.
About 9. Yeah, about 9. As I got older, my mom's drug habit got worse. Oh no, don't do that. 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 As I got older, my mom's drug habit got worse. And so because her drug habit got worse, we ended up getting put out of our home. We ended up in shelters.
You say we, who's we?
Oh, I'm sorry, me, my mom, and by that time I had a sister.
You had a sister, okay.
Yeah, so there have been times where we would have to walk the streets because we didn't have anywhere to go. And my sister being one and a half, her little legs could carry her but so far. I would have to put her on my back and carry her. We would end up in shelters.
Did you lose your home? Is that what happened? Or?
Yeah, we lost multiple homes just to the fact that they didn't pay the rent. And then what would happen is we would come home. Well, I would come home from school. And there'd be our stuff would be sitting outside because they put us out, like physically put us out.
Wow.
And my dad would go out there and sleep on the furniture so nobody would steal it. And I had this line in my speech. I was like, can you imagine getting off the bus trying to explain to your friends why your dad is over there sleeping on the couch and while your bicycle and all your toys are outside. And they're just walking by seeing your toys, your Barbie doll house, your roller skates, all these little toys outside on the curb. I would have to have that conversation. And they would ask me, why is your Barbie doll house sitting? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I like playing outside. It's
Yeah. Let's just do what we're supposed to be doing. You know, and you know, I can laugh about it now, but before it was so embarrassing.
Oh, I can imagine.
So incredibly embarrassing. Like I said, I can laugh about it now, but as a kid, it was just so embarrassing. So fast forward a little bit, my mom finally manages to get an apartment for me and my sister. Now she's still on, you know, I don't know where my dad is at this time, but she's still on drugs. At this point, I'm now taking care of my sister. I'm getting her off the bus. She's going to school now. So I'm putting her on the bus for school. I'm getting her off the bus for school. I'm making sure she's eating all the stuff that my mom should be doing. Plus going to school myself.
Wow.
And the crazy thing about this is you think you're the only one that knows what's going on. It's like a secret. Like you're holding on to a secret. You can't let nobody know that my house knows. So I gotta just continue to get up and go to school like I would go to school. And nobody can know. If they know, they're gonna come and take us. And so nobody can know. But in reality, they knew. They knew my mom was on drugs. They knew that my mom, you know.
Did you live in a small town?
No, I didn't live in a small town. I'm actually originally from Washington, D.C. So I lived in the suburbs of D.C. And I wouldn't consider it a small town. I would just, you know, I want to say my mom, but they had a meeting with my mom because I was coming to school dirty. I was coming to school like I was coming to school like I was just not being treated. And I think she told them. So from that point on, the teachers that I had kind of rallied around me to help take care of me. That, you know, if I wanted to make sure I got an extra breakfast, if I wanted extra lunch, say I got an extra lunch.
Wow.
They gave me food to take home. I remember one time in particular, we were going, the 5th and 6th grade, got to go on this camping trip. Now, this was a trip of all trips. Like, this was like the first overnight trip. So at the 5th grade, as the 6th grader, you're excited.
Yeah.
Overnight with your friends at school. So I remember getting the permission slip, taking it home to my mom. Like, Mom, I want to go on this trip. And she said, okay. She signed it, and the school paid for it, but she signed it. And I needed clothes. I didn't have any clean clothes. I didn't have no clean clothes at all. So I remember the whole week, Mom, I need you to wash the clothes. Mom, I need you to wash the clothes. Mom, I need you to wash the clothes. I need you to wash the clothes. I'll get to it. Well, guess what? She never got to it. So me, with my genius idea, I thought, hey, I could wash them in the bathtub and hang them out on the patio to dry.
Makes sense.
Okay, look, I'm 12, 11. So that's just how my mind worked at that time.
Sure, yeah.
So I put the clothes in the bathtub, and I ran the bathtub, and I put some soap powder in it, and I'm just a wash. And I'm a wash, and I'm a wash. I'm like, yeah, I'm going camping. So I washed them, and I hung them out on the patio to dry. So I got up the next morning just knowing they were going to be dry. Just knowing they're going to be dry.
No.
Them clothes, what if they was when I put them out there?
No.
So, but you think that stopped me? No, ma'am. I put the wet clothes in a bag. So I put the wet clothes in a bag to school. And one of my teachers was like, why is this bag? Like, you know, with wet clothes, wet tend to be heavy. And she was trying to figure out why the bag was so heavy. And I was like, you know, I mean, I wasn't going to
Right.
So, but she was like, did you pack your whole house? I was like, no. So then she happened to open the bag and put her hand in and she felt that all the clothes. She asked me what happened. And I said, well, my mom didn't get around to washing the clothes. So I had to wash the clothes. And then I hung them outside to dry. And as you can see, they did not get. And she said, okay. So what they did was, before we left the camp, they went to the laundromat, washed the clothes with the laundromat.
That is so amazing.
I put them back in my bag.
Just listening to you and how the teachers just surrounded you and took care of you and nurtured you, I can see why you're a teacher in doing that to your students and teaching them the value of respect and empathy. And like, it seems like it's a full circle.
Right. And I just feel like because it's just important, like it's important. And, we as a society don't don't really like we don't understand.
Yeah.
And we don't understand how to empathize with somebody else. And we don't know how to look at another person and say, okay, you know what? They're different. So what?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Or they might have something different going on. What?
So you got to go on your trip.
I went on my trip. Yay!
Well, now, how was that? Was that fun?
Yes, that was so fun. Yes, it was fun because they got me away from my mom, my home for 2 days. And I went camping, we had campfire, horseback riding, all of that. So it was very fun.
Oh, that sounds great.
Now,
did your sister get to go, or was it just you?
No. This was through my school.
Okay.
So my sister didn't go. I can't remember how old she was.
Yeah. Were you concerned about leaving her alone?
I probably should have been, but I guess I was just more, hey, I'm being honest. I was just more like, I'm going camping.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.
Hope you're okay.
That's right. Yeah. So I remember part of your testimony is that you were taken out of your home and put in a foster care system.
Yes. I was in foster care for 6 years.
Wow. Can you share a little bit about that? Because I know it wasn't a good experience.
No, it was not a good experience.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing about the situation is that foster care is supposed to be somewhere where you go to be protected or to be safe, because whatever's going on in your home is not safe and you're not protected. But as quiet as it's kept, some of these homes are more abusive than the home you came out of.
As an outsider, just listening about the foster care, it seems like that there are more stories of being abused and neglected than there are good foster parents. And that's sad. That's only me. I'm not even part of the system. That's just what I hear. And so it has to be worse than more than what I hear.
Right. And the thing about it is the most, and I don't like using this word, but I'm going to, because I don't have a better word to use, targeted population with disabilities.
Is that right?
Are children with disabilities. Yes. For 2 reasons. Reason number 1, and a lot of people don't know this unless you're in the system or part of the system. If you were to take a child with a disability in your home, you get more money than you would a typical. Okay, that's 1.
Yeah.
2, most children, depending on the disability, may not always be able to successfully articulate what's going on. So the abuser can pretty much do whatever they want because the child may not be able to articulate what's going on. I know a man, I was in a foster home with a man who molested was she quadriplegic? I think she was quadriplegic and she couldn't talk.
Oh my gosh.
And he was supposed to be bathing her. And every morning he's bathing her.
Oh my gosh.
And
was it where you were at or a different? It was where you were at? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, where I was at. And then he would then turn and molest my sister. My sister was molested from the age of 2 to 9.
Golly.
Yeah. So, and I still kind of wrestle with that myself, even though.
When did you find out that she was being molested?
Because what happened, nobody found out until she became an adult. And she got into an argument with my mom out. And then
I'm going to pause you right there because I want to make sure I get the story straight. So you said adopted mom. Did the foster parents adopt you, or is this a different?
Yes,
they did adopt you.
Yes. We started out in their home as a foster children, and we had been in their home for a year. We went back to my mom, who relapsed. Then we went back into the system, went back into her home.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
How, as a child, like, can you walk me through just a little bit as knowing you were there for a year and what you had to put up with? Then you went back to your parent, hoping that was going to work, but it didn't work because she relapsed, knowing you had to go back into that home. Were you mad at God? Like, how did you cope?
The thing about it was when the social worker came and told me we were going back to my mom, I said, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm good right here. I don't want to go. And they were like, well, we have to try. You have to try it. What do you mean you have to try it? It's like you guys are sitting here playing Russian roulette with my life. We have to try it. Well, what do you mean we have to try it? And I said, it's not going to work. I don't know what it was, and maybe it was the Holy Spirit, I don't know. But it was just something inside of me that said, this is not going to work. We were on a drug test. and the social worker came back and got us. Before we went back to the home that we were in before, we went to another home. And they were very, very, very much, they would make us stand in the corner for long periods of time. We were only allowed to bathe once a week. When I got ready to go to school, I had to go downstairs in the hallway bathroom and wash up. I wasn't allowed to get in the bathroom.
Wow.
We stayed there for about a year, and then we'd be back to the original bathroom.
Wow. I'm trying to process and put myself in your shoes as a little girl and the emotions that you're going through and how you're even coping.
It's funny because to be honest with you, you know how they say sometimes when you have a traumatic episode, it's kind of like you mentally block it out. Like, it happened.
Yeah.
But if you actually try to remember, pinpoint, boom, 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 you can't. So I can't. Like, from the age of, I would say 14 to about 16.
You blocked it out. Yeah.
I was in one foster home where there was a lady who was a foster parent. I think this is the worst one I had ever been in. She would not allow, okay, hold up. Maybe I'm dreaming. Maybe it's another out-of-body experience I'm having. So I'm turning around and I'm looking and I'm trying to figure out who she's talking to. This is the kicker. She started the sentence with, "I don't mean no harm."
Oh, gosh.
So if someone ever tells you they mean no harm, typically speaking,
Harm.
Yeah. But it wasn't until I really got into my word and really understood who God was, and that God doesn't make mistakes, and that God does everything for a purpose and a reason, and that regardless of what man says, what God says has the final say so. God is the yielding word, is the final say so.
Yeah.
And I also understand now that God does things. God's going to do what's going to make him the glory. So if you're in a situation or a predicament, you're in that predicament because that's going to bring him the most glory. See, I wouldn't have brought him the most glory being a typical person. I bring the most glory like this. And because I bring him the glory in this state, this is the state that he's me. And it took forever to get that concept and understand that concept. Because for years I was like, God, why? But then once I understood that God does, whatever God does is going to be to bring him the most glory. So if you are here to glorify God, you are going to be in a state in which glorifies God. It might be in a wheelchair. It might be deaf. It might be with one arm. It might be with no toes and no fingers. But whatever that state is, you were created in that way because that was the way God chose to design you. And that's going to bring the most glory. That's going to show people who God really is. That's going to show people what God can do. And a lot of times, people look for the miracle or they look for the healing. He heals you. That's a great God. But what if he doesn't?
Yeah, sure. Were you ever mad at him?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did have an episode when I was mad at him.
Yeah. Then what did he show you through being mad?
I think I was about 6. And I remember coming home from school. Yeah, another day being taunted and teased. And I'm standing in the middle of my room. And I'm screaming, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. And my mother came up and she was like, girl, what is wrong with you? I was like, I don't want to ever, as long as you live, hear you say you hate God. I said, well, mommy, it's not fair. It's not fair. I always got to go through these surgeries. I don't have any friends, and people laugh at me and to pick with me, and it's just not fair. And she's like, you know what? You don't understand now. Except for when you get older, you will understand why God created you the way he did. I feel like he created me the way that he did for the experiences that I've had. Like, if I didn't go through all that negativity, I would not be able to motivate and empower people the way that I do. If I didn't go through all those experiences, I wouldn't be able to motivate and empower children the way that I do. I mean, I know what it's like to be that kid that doesn't have any friends. I know what it's like to be that kid that just wants to fit in. I know what it's like to be that kid that eats lunch by herself every day. I know what that's like. But if I hadn't had that experience, I would not be able to relate to people that have gone through it. So that is why I'm disabled. That is why I'm the way I am. That is why God chose me the way that he chose me for moments like this. For moments where I could come and I could share who she is and what she has done.
Amen. That's all I can say. Absolutely. Well, let's
mean,
go back to that because, you were talking about being insecure and, and just have all these insecurities in yourself because that's what you've been taught all your life.
right.
And then did you go to the first man that liked you? Like,
Well, I kissed a lot of frogs. Back to back when I was back in those days, online dating was real popular then.
Okay.
So I was the queen of online dating because my favorite was always, I knew I had the personality. I knew I had the smart. I knew I had that part. But the looks, wasn't so. So I just, okay, if I could win them over my personality and my charm, then yeah, we're in there. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't.
Yeah.
But with this particular gentleman, he had PEAK, so he had a disability as well. We were really good friends. Really good friends. And to this day, we are friends. I got pregnant. What do you know what I'm saying? Like, you get married, you got pregnant, you get married.
Yeah. Sure.
That's usually how that works. Did I want to get married? That was not on my list of things to do. Did I want to have a child? Yeah. But I did not want to get married. And I remember when we were planning the wedding, well, he was planning the wedding. And I'm just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want all of this. I don't want to do this. And I remember kept saying, I don't want to do this. Everybody was like, well, you're pregnant by him and this, that, and the third. I was like, I realized all of that, but I don't want to marry him. So we ended up getting married. We stayed married for about 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a long time.
That was a long time.
Like, tell me, I lived it.
Okay, baby. We stayed married for about 15 years. And the crazy thing about it was, I believe that I married him and I was with him to have my daughter. But I promise you, nothing else went right after that. Nothing else went right after that. And I can remember her being 5 years old. God telling me it's time to go. Like, Lord, I'm not. Lord, are you sure? Because you don't want to move out of, you don't want to turn to God. Make sure hearing God correctly. You don't want to step too soon.
Right.
Like, God, you sure? Because it's pretty comfortable over here. And it was so crazy. She just kept telling me it was time to go. So I ended up leaving when she was 12. All this stuff, and it's so crazy because in the Bible it says obedience is so much better than sacrifice. So, and I looked at everything that I had sacrificed that I wouldn't have had to sacrifice if I had been obedient.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was like, and then when I finally did leave, and I looked back, I was like, I was supposed to leave 5 years ago. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So I tell people all the time, please, when God tells you to do something, you need to move when he tells you to move because obedience is so much better than sacrifice. But fast forward, I went back to college. I got a master's degree in education. That's when I started teaching. I got remarried in 2022. Yeah, my current husband, he has cerebral palsy as well. He's in a wheelchair.
Now, did you ever get into drugs or alcohol or anything?
During my college years, I experimented with drinking. And when I saw it starting to become a habit, I stopped. Because
it's good that you can stop.
Yeah, well, no, what it was that I didn't let it get progress. I remember you have people that drink to get buzzed. You have people that drink for the point of getting drunk. And my point was to drink to get drunk.
Gotcha.
And there have been times that I had drank so much, I woke up and not knowing how I got there. Or I had not knowing how I got there. I don't remember how I got home, don't remember anything. So when it got that bad, I was like, okay, yeah, I can't do this. It's not going to work. I can't do this.
That's good that you stopped. It's hard.
Yeah. My father being an alcoholic and my mother being a drug addict, but she dabbled in alcohol as well. It was on both sides of my family.
So what got you into coaching?
Coaching. I always knew that I wanted to do something to help. And I knew I wanted to do something to help people with disabilities. Back when I started coaching in 2014, there was a coach on every corner. It was this type of coach. So I never really knew what type of coach I wanted to be. It took me some years to kind of condense it down to what God was calling me to do. The name of my company is called More Than My Disability. And what I do is I work with children that have disabilities as well as their parents. And I provide resources to them that they may need to help them in whatever phase they're in their life. We just wrapped up our second session of our online group. We have an online group where I meet with parents online. And we talk about self-care. We talk about, the ins and outs of having a disabled child. We talk about, the things that parents can't talk about freely. They get looked at crazy when they say, my child just drove me crazy today.
Yeah.
Out the window. And they look at you like, you're crazy. And I tell people all the time that you can get a coach that read about these things and go to school and learn about these things, which is cool. I mean, how you get it. Or you can have one that has personally experienced it.
Yes.
That have walked through the trenches, that walked through the valleys, and know what it feels like. Not only to be a kid with a disability, but to be a parent. My daughter has ADHD as well as severe depressive disorder. So as a parent, I know what that's like too, dealing with a child that has a documented disability.
Yeah.
But the flip side, I also know what it's like to be a child to have a disability. I could surgeries.
What website, like if people are interested in what you offer, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, you can get hold of me on my website, www.coachlatrea.net. I'm on all social media platforms. And I'm actually hosting my first event in May.
Okay.
It's called Diversity and Dialogue, Conversations with the Disabled Child. And what this summit is going to do is going to give people that wouldn't normally have a platform, like children that have disabilities. They would not normally have a platform to talk about the things that they go through on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to have children, I'm going to have caregivers, parents, and teachers. Because a lot of times, teachers don't really get to express, how they feel or what they go through on a day-to-day basis working with children that have disabilities. So, and you never hear from them. Right. So I want to give them a platform as well.
Nice.
Yes.
That's great. And is the event on Facebook?
No. It's actually live here in Wilmington, North Carolina. Yeah, that's going to be taking place. I'm pretty excited about it. It's my first one, so I'm also a little nervous. I've never done it before. Yeah. So we'll see how it turns out.
Grace to God, you got this.
Yes.
Well, that is great. So at the end of the broadcast, I always ask my guests to leave with words of wisdom. What words of wisdom would you leave our listeners with?
Don't allow a moment in time to control the rest of your life. Good. Don't allow a moment in time to control your life. Sometimes we allow moments to control the rest of our life. We allow moments that are just moments, and that's all they were meant to be, a moment. But we want to stretch those moments out to hours, to days, to weeks, to years. No, they were just moments. So don't allow that moment to control the rest of your life. You might have had a moment of anger, or you might have had a moment of sadness, or a moment of depression. But don't let that be your guiding factor. Don't let that be your guide to the rest of your life. Don't let that be the driving force for the rest of your life, because it was just a moment. Yeah, it might be bad right now. You might be going through something right now. You might be dealing with something right now. And you might, life might suck for you right now. I'm just going to be real. Yeah. But that doesn't mean it's going to suck forever. It doesn't mean that you're always going to be in that position. It doesn't mean that you're always going to be in that place. So you can't allow that moment that you're going through right now control the rest of your life and also what God has for you.
Thank you for watching or listening to this episode on Reflect Live Podcast.
Next up, Speaker John Felligler, Saturday, April 6, 10 a.m. CST, registered www.reflectlivepodcast.com. John, a dedicated father to a child with special needs, is passionate about empowering fellow parents, particularly fathers, through his inspiring blog entries, public speaking events, and numerous interviews. Additionally, John offers personal mentorship and support to other dads within his community, aiming to create a supportive network for those navigating the challenges of special needs parenting.
Listen on Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, or live stream on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. Register now on www.reflectlivepodcast.com. Follow so you don't miss out on new live stream